Chapter 2. The forbidden map of a Ruth storm had passed, yet its mark remained etched across the Sahara, almost like a sleeping giant's scars. The dunes no longer looked random. 4 lines, spirals, and geometrical depressions formed patterns visible only from high above. It was as if the desert had reshaped itself to whisper a message. Dr. Adrian Keller sat alone inside his tent, listening to the soft crackling of the lantern. His hands quivered slightly as he unfolded the fragile parchment he had carried across continents, a relic he never fully understood. Until now it was the forbidden map, a map that should not exist. Ink from a forgotten age of parchment was different from anything Adrian had worked with in all his years of research. It was brittle to the touch, yet curiously warm, as if it remembered each hand that had ever touched it. The ink, made from powdered malachite and gold flakes, still glimmered faintly in the lantern's light. The large circular symbol made up the middle of the map, while radiating lines traced out of it, like spokes from a sun dot below it, in faded crimson Greek. One word was written, Aaru. Layla came in quietly, her eyes going to the parchment at once. "It's the same shape we saw forming in the sand after the storm," she whispered. "The desert is mirroring this." Adrian nodded. "Which means it's not a myth, it's a location." She ran her fingers over the edges of the map. "But this is impossible. These mountains," she tapped the outline, "don't exist anymore. They collapsed thousands of years ago." "Exactly," Adrian said. "Whoever drew this did it before they vanished." 2. A map stolen from Silency. Closed his eyes, remembering that night, when he first saw the map, that it was locked inside a steel case at a private collector's mansion in Venice. The old man had whispered legends. This parchment was found in a Christian monastery in Ethiopia. They said it was copied from something even older, something not meant for human eyes. The monks had called it the Map of Paradise, believed to lead to the mystical field of reeds, the afterlife of Egyptian myth. But Adrian knew better. It wasn't spiritual land, this was actual land, a forgotten empire. 3. The map comes alive. Layla leaned in. "Did you ever notice these marks?" she asked, pointing out faint lines that had been invisible earlier. Adrian stared in open-mouthed consternation. The lines were glowing, not brightly, just a soft, warm pulse. He swallowed. That wasn't there before. The glow intensified, tracing out new pathways branching from the central sun emblem. The map began to pulse slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat, in perfect synchrony with the vibrations Adrian felt deep in the sandstorm. Raphael came in, frantic. "Guys, my drone picked up something insane." But he froze when he saw the map. "Is it supposed to do that?" he whispered. "No," Adrian whispered. "Nothing this old should be alive." 4. The layer under reality. Raphael pulled up his tablet. "Look at this," he said, showing a drone scan. The drone had captured a satellite-like overhead image of the desert patterns formed after the storm. When he overlaid the glowing map onto the screenshot, it matched perfectly. Every line, every spiral, every crack in the desert was aligned with the pathways on the map. Layla gasped. "Adrian, this means the map isn't just a map, it's a blueprint," Adrian said. "A blueprint of the city buried beneath us." Raphael pointed to the center of the overlay. "And guess what's right under our feet? A huge circular depression, just like the sun symbol on the map. 5. The forbidden text." She tilted the parchment, and the glowing symbols shifted to make patterns she had never seen before. Some of the lines rearranged themselves to make a new sentence. "The city that dared the heavens shall slumber until the chosen awaken it." Reed entered just in time to hear that. "Oh, wonderful," he groaned. "Another prophecy. As if your humming in the desert at night wasn't spooky enough." But Adrian didn't smile. He traced his finger along the glowing pattern. The map turned on just as the storm shifted the sand. Layla whispered. "The desert woke the map." "No," Adrian said. "The map woke the desert." 6. Single coordinate. Raphael peered over at the overlay once more. "There's a set of numbers here," he said, blowing up tiny glyphs near the edges of the map. Coordinates. Precise coordinates. And they pointed to a place only 4 kilometers east from their camp, an area so desolate, so uninteresting, that it had never been explored. The glyph beside the coordinate glowed brighter. "The first gate." Layla inhaled sharply. "A gate? You mean an entrance?" Adrian nodded, eyes shining. "Yes. And tomorrow we find it." 7. The desert moans again. That night, as the team prepared for the expedition, the ground trembled faintly. Sand shifted outside like footsteps circling the camp. Whispers rode the wind, soft and unintelligible, ancient. Raphael recorded it, the audio waveform dancing in perfect harmonic waves, as if a chorus of unseen voices sang under the dunes. Reed clutched his jacket tighter. "I hate this place," he muttered. But Adrian stood at the edge of the camp, staring at the glowing patterns still faintly visible in the sand. He muttered to himself, "Tomorrow we enter history, or the graveyard of a civilization that never should have existed." The desert hummed in response, low, melodic, almost welcoming, as if it had been waiting for this moment, as if it remembered them. Chapter 3. Echoes of the Sun Gods. The sun rose like molten fire over the Sahara the next morning, casting long shadows across the dunes. The air felt different, not just warm but charged. A subtle electricity rippled beneath the sand like static waiting for a storm. Adrian Keller tightened his pack against his back and peered toward the east, where the coordinates from the glowing map pointed. 4 kilometers. 4 kilometers to the unknown. Layla walked beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. "You feel that?" she whispered. Adrian nodded. "It's like the desert is humming again." Raphael adjusted his headset. "Not humming, pulsing. I'm getting rhythmic waves, same frequency as last night's audio." Behind them, Professor Reed groaned. "Great, the desert sings now. Perhaps it will dance next." But even he couldn't conceal his unease. 1. Footprints of forgotten gods. As the team trekked toward the coordinate point, they realized something was amiss. The sand wasn't smooth. It formed patterns, faint outlines of symbols repeated across the dunes. Spirals, sun rays, geometric lines converging like a star map. "These look like Incan sun motifs," Layla whispered, "but we're thousands of miles from Peru." Adrian peered at another. "This one looks like Sumerian cuneiform." Reed scoffed. "Impossible. No ancient culture had contact across continents." Raphael tapped a circle that glowed faintly in the morning sun. "What if they didn't have to be human cultures?" The team fell silent, because deep down, they were all thinking the same thing. What if the world's oldest myths, Egyptian Ra, Sumerian, Utu, Incan, Inti, weren't different gods at all? What if they were memories of the same beings? 2. The first gate. They reached the coordinates by midday. At first, it looked like nothing, just another endless dune. But the drone scan revealed otherwise. Raphael pointed to his tablet. There, a circular structure under the sand. Massive. Adrian's heart raced. The first gate. They started digging. Within hours, the top of a huge disc-shaped platform appeared. Smooth, black, perfectly circular. Obsidian. Again, but this one was different. At the center lay a raised emblem. Sun with 12 spirals around it. Layla brushed away more sand and gasped. "This symbol is found in Polynesian petroglyphs, and in ancient Egyptian tombs, and the Nazca lines in Peru." Reed swallowed hard. "That's not possible." But the truth lay before them. A global symbol. From a global influence, thousands of years older than any known civilization. 3. The solar res set a device on the obsidian surface. Instantly the screen flashed. "Wow, this thing is vibrating," he said. "Not enough to feel, but the frequency is precise. 432 Hz. The eyes of Layla widened. "That is the tuning frequency used in ancient rituals across various cultures." Adrian moved even closer to the platform. "So how did cultures with no contact across oceans all use the same resonance?" Reed breathed shakily. "Unless someone taught them." And then it happened. The obsidian disc sang. A low, resounding sound vibrated across the dunes. Deep and ancient. The sand around them vibrated, forming geometric ripples. Layla gasped. "The gate is responding to sound." The tone, louder now, harmonic, powerful. The air shimmered, and the sand parted like liquid. Concealed beneath, a spiraling staircase descended into darkness. 4. Chamber of the sun god. They descended slowly. The air grew cold. Golden veins glowed faintly within the walls, as if sunlight had been trapped inside the stone. At the bottom, there was a chamber, a great round hall with murals carved into every wall. And those murals, Adrian felt his breath catch. They showed tall, elongated beings with radiant halos, beings descending from the sky on beams of light. Layla whispered, awestruck, "These aren't gods. These are visitors." Raphael pointed at the carvings. "Look, same beings teaching humans how to build, farm, chart the stars. Reed rubbed his temples. This is insanity. Ancient alien theory, really. But the carvings continued. Spirals linking constellations, sun symbols matching the map. The vision of a gigantic city, glowing, shining, under the desert. Then, the final mural came. The fall, a blinding flare from the sky. The radiant beings leaving. The city simply collapsed into the sand. At the bottom of the mural, one line was carved numerous times in dozens of languages. We came from the sun, and we return to the sun. 5. The echo of the golden veins in the walls brightened as they stood there. Mesmerized, a low hum filled the chamber. The murals started to vibrate, and then, a voice, not human, not loud, but deep, ancient, echoing from within the stone itself. Children of Earth, you have awakened what sleeps. Adrian froze. Raphael's tablet malfunctioned. Layla covered her ears. We need to get out of here. Reed screamed, but the voice continued. The sun gods remember their children, and the desert remembers the sun gods. The chamber shook violently. Sand was poured from above. The gate was closing. 6. A narrow escape. They sprinted up the stairs as the hum reached a deafening pitch. Above them, the obsidian disc was sealing shut slowly, but not slow enough. Hurry, Adrian shouted. They barely escaped as the disc slammed shut behind them with a deafening crack. It boomed throughout the desert as if something had just awakened from a 1,000-year-long sleep. The humming stopped. There was silence. The desert was still once again. Reed fell to the ground, trembling. What the hell was that? Layla whispered, shaking. It was a warning. Adrian looked at the sealed gate, his heart pounding. No, he said quietly. It was a memory. Chapter 4. The Last Descent. Final chapter. End of the story. The Sahara was quiet once more. Too quiet. After escaping the sun god's chamber, the team sat, shaken and pale around their dim lanterns. Nobody said a word for a very long time. The wind outside stirred, like a restless spirit, to brush across the dunes in long, whispering waves. But Adrian Keller couldn't look away from the obsidian gate that was sealed. He knew it wasn't over, because the desert wasn't done remembering. 1. The decision to return. We shouldn't go back, Reed said firmly. We almost died. That voice, whatever it was, it warned us. But Layla shook her head. It didn't warn us. It spoke to us. It reacted to us. That means the city below is still alive. Raphael looked at his damaged tablet. The screen was flickering with scrambled data. But one pattern kept repeating. A glowing spiral. The same symbol from the map. Pulsing like a heartbeat. He swallowed hard. It's calling us again. Adrian stood. We finish what we started. Reed stared at him, incredulous. You're crazy. No, Adrian whispered. I'm chosen. To the gate, reopens dusk, found them back beside the obsidian disc. The desert sky glowed orange and violet, hues too vibrant, almost unnatural. As Adrian touched the middle of the disc, it warmed beneath his fingers. A hum rose from deep underground. The spirals carved into the stone flared to life with golden light, and gradually, like the desert taking a deep breath, the gate opened. This time, the staircase was glowing, a soft, inviting light. The desert wanted them inside. 3. The city awakens. The chamber they came into was different from what they had seen. Earlier, it was different, no longer dark, now lit by whirling ribbons of amber energy that move along the walls like living veins. The murals on the walls were moving, not changing live, scenes of ancient life playing like projections from another time. In the middle of the chamber, the ground subsided into a large pit, a buried city, its towers going down into the earth, like the roots of a massive mechanical tree. Layla whispered, shaking. This place, it's waking up. Raphael added, these lights, this hum, this is not ancient ruin. This is ancient technology, activating. Reed stepped back in fear. This isn't archaeology anymore. It's resurrection. For the heart of the sun was a sphere hovering at the far end of the chamber, a glowing orb, the size of a human heart. It pulsed in golden waves. Adrian slowly approached it. It's the core, the essence, what powered them, what destroyed them. As he drew near, the orb brightened, reacting to his presence. Suddenly the murals around them changed. Once more carve out a final memory. Tall, radiant beings descended from the sky, teaching humans, building the city. Then a flare, a great fire, beings leaving the sinking city. A message wrote itself across the walls in luminous script. Power gifted is power misused. We return when the world is ready. The light in the orb began to intensify. 5. The truth, revealed. A voice echoed again, clearer this time. Children of Earth, you have awakened our memory. The orb floated upwards. We were the sun born. We taught the first civilizations. We left when humanity succumbed to greed. We sealed our knowledge beneath these sands. The chamber shook. Now you stand where others failed. Adrian stepped forward, entranced. Why show us this? He whispered. Why now? The voice grew softer. Because your world stands on the edge of the same mistake, and the desert remembers all mistakes. The orb dimmed. What you do now determines whether history repeats, or finally wakes up. 6. The final decision. The orb lowered itself into Adrian's hands. Suddenly visions flooded his mind. Cities of light, teaching early humans. The rise of technology, not of Earth. The pride, the fall. The fire, the silence. And then today's world. War. Division. Avarice. Humanity, repeating the same course. He gasped, dropping the orb. It floated back into place. Adrian, Layla whispered. Reed looked terrified. What did you see? Adrian wiped away tears from his eyes. Everything. 7. The city sleeps again. The orb pulsed once more, then slowly faded. The lights dimmed. The murals dissolved back into stillness. The hum softened into silence. The city powered down. The gate above began to close. The desert was returning to sleep. Layla seized Adrian's arm. We need to go. They ran up the staircase. Just as they reached the surface, the obsidian disc slammed shut with a loud bang. The sand settled. The glowing cracks disappeared. Silence resumed. The desert once more became only a desert. 8. The last sunrise. The team stood on the dunes, gasping for breath. First rays of morning sun lit the horizon. Reed whispered, "It's over." Adrian shook his head. "No, it's beginning." Layla looked at him. "What did the Sunborn show you?" He looked out at the endless Sahara. "That we didn't find a lost civilization." He paused. "We found a warning." Raphael swallowed. "A warning for who?" "For everyone," Adrian said. "For the whole world." He had a last look at the dunes. "The desert remembers. Now we do too." A warm wind now swept across the sand, light, sweet, eternal, as if the desert was exhaling, while it whispers its final goodbye.